I've always believed that if you work hard, show results, and treat people right, success will follow. For nearly 8 years, that belief drove everything I did at Kilburn Creative, a mid-sized marketing firm in downtown Chicago. I wasn't just another name in the payroll system, I was the woman behind the firm's most profitable campaigns, the Rainmaker. They used to call me the Queen of Campaigns behind my back. It was half admiration, half sarcasm from the jealous ones. But I earned it. I brought in clients most of them thought were out of our league, multi-million-dollar accounts that practically carried our entire Q3 in 2022 and again in 2023. I worked late nights, gave up weekends, and pulled miracles out of thin air during pitch meetings. My name is Naomi Blake, and until 2 weeks ago, I was Kilburn Creative's Director of Brand Strategy. Now, I'm their biggest problem. It started like any other Monday. Coffee in hand, I arrived early to finalize the deliverables for our newest client, Auburn Grove Beverages, a trendy organic drink startup blowing up on social media. I'd landed the account personally after 6 months of courting the founder through late-night strategy calls and 3 customized pitch decks. We were just wrapping up phase 1 of the rebranding campaign. Everything was ahead of schedule and under budget. The client loved me. My team was performing like a dream. I should have been riding high. Instead, I was summoned into Martin Keller's office at 9:03 a.m. Martin was the kind of man who used terms like optics and synergy without irony. He had no marketing instinct, his background was in finance, but he'd inherited the company from his father and spent most of his days pretending to be a visionary leader while micromanaging other people's genius. His assistant gave me a tight smile as she ushered me in. "Naomi," he said, standing behind his desk like a principal about to deliver detention. "Thanks for coming in." I sat down, crossing my legs carefully. "Is this about Auburn Grove?" "I just sent over the preliminary results, click-through rates are double what we forecasted." Martin nodded, then sighed. "It's not about Auburn Grove. It's something else." The air in the room shifted. My stomach tightened. I knew that tone. It was the same one HR used when they were about to gut someone's livelihood with a smile. Martin folded his hands. "We've been reviewing department performance, and unfortunately, we've decided to go in a different direction with brand strategy." I blinked. "What direction? What does that mean?" "You've done great work here, Naomi." "No one's denying that," he said quickly, too quickly. "But we're restructuring. Consolidating leadership. Your role is being phased out." "Bullshit. What are you talking about?" I said, my voice calm but sharp. "I bring in over 60% of this firm's recurring revenue. Auburn Grove, Renovo Apparel, Everkind Health, those are all my clients. You don't restructure away your top performer." Martin had the decency to look a little uncomfortable. "Your nephew," I said slowly, the pieces clicking into place. "Ryan." Martin didn't answer. He didn't have to. Ryan Keller had joined the company 6 months ago. Fresh out of grad school, no marketing experience, no client wins, just a polished LinkedIn profile and an ego inflated by nepotism. I'd been forced to let him shadow me on pitches. He wore expensive shoes and interrupted people constantly. "You're giving my position to Ryan," I said. "A kid who doesn't even know the difference between a target demo and a value prop." Martin stiffened. "Ryan has shown potential. And he's very aligned with our future direction." "Our future direction? Or your family legacy?" I stood. "I hope you've got a plan for client fallout. Because Ryan doesn't have the relationships I do. He doesn't even have my contact list. And I assure you, my clients will notice." Martin stood too, clearly trying to reassert dominance. "You signed a non-solicitation agreement, Naomi." I smiled, cold, confident. "I didn't sign anything that protects incompetence." That was true. I'd had a savvy lawyer review my contract before I accepted the director role. There was no non-compete clause, no client restrictions, Just a vague NDA that wouldn't hold up in court if the company was the one to terminate the relationship. Martin looked nervous for the first time. "Clear out your office," he said flatly. By noon. I walked out of that office with my head high and my blood boiling. It wasn't just a betrayal, it was an insult to every late night, every 80-hour week, every deal I'd pulled from the jaws of failure to make that man look like he knew what he was doing. But I wasn't going to cry. No, I was going to do something much more satisfying. I was going to make Kilburn Creative regret the day they fired me. One client at a time. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't even pack up all my things. Just the essentials, my personal laptop, a few notebooks, and a ceramic mug that said Brand Strategist Extraordinaire. The rest could rot there, a ghost office for the golden boy nephew who would now sit at my desk and drown in expectations he didn't even understand. By the time I hit the elevator, I already had a plan forming. I wasn't interested in burning bridges, I was going to control the current beneath them. I went home, opened a bottle of wine I'd been saving, and made 3 phone calls. The first was to Carla Jennings, my old mentor and the woman who had given me my first marketing internship when I was 20. She now ran a boutique agency called Jennings Plus Rose, known for its daring, data-driven campaigns in the sustainability and wellness space. Carla picked up on the third ring. "Naomi? Everything okay?" "Not exactly," I said, swirling my glass. "I just got fired. Martin Keller pushed me out to give his nephew my job." Silence. "Then, you're joking." "I wish. They cited restructuring, but Ryan's taking over my accounts. No experience, no real wins. He thinks a brand voice is a podcast." Carla exhaled. "Naomi, that's criminal. Do you want to talk? Or do you want revenge?" I smiled. "Both. But let's start with opportunity." She didn't even hesitate. "Come by the office tomorrow. Let's talk partnerships. I've got clients who would kill for your skill set." We ended the call, and I immediately dialed my second number. Gwen Lee, head of marketing for Renovo Apparel, a sustainable fashion brand I had shepherded from launch through its first $1 million quarter. We had a good rapport, more than that, she trusted me. I wasn't supposed to poach clients, no, but I didn't need to. When Gwen picked up, I kept my tone casual. "Hey Gwen, just wanted to let you know I'm no longer with Kilburn." "What?" she said, sounding genuinely shocked. "Since when?" "This morning. They're moving in a different direction. Ryan Keller will be overseeing your account from now on." A pause. "Wait, Martin's nephew? The one who kept referring to our product line as activewear for vegans?" I bit my lip to keep from laughing. "That's the one." "I don't want him on our campaign," Gwen said firmly. "He doesn't get our brand." "You do." "I'm exploring some independent projects," I said. "If you ever need outside strategy support, I'd love to stay in touch." Gwen didn't hesitate. "Send me your personal email. I'll talk to my COO." I smiled again. Not poaching. Just reconnecting. The third call was the easiest. Jason Ortega, founder of Auburn Grove Beverages, the account I had just landed before being fired. Jason had always been blunt and loyal. He hated corporate politics. When I told him what happened, he was silent for a moment, then muttered, "That's a damn shame. You were the only reason I signed with Kilburn." "I appreciate that. I'm weighing my options now." "You thinking of starting your own shop?" "Something like that," I said cautiously. "Keep me in the loop," he said. "Because if Keller's nephew starts messing with our campaign, I'll walk." I didn't need to pitch myself. My work had already done that. The next morning, I met with Carla. Her agency office was a sun-drenched loft with exposed brick, artisan coffee, and exactly the kind of culture Kilburn never understood. She greeted me with a hug and 2 lattes. "I want to make you a deal," she said as we sat in a cozy side room. "You bring in one of your legacy accounts from Kilburn, Renovo, Auburn Grove, whoever, and I'll give you full creative autonomy and a cut of every contract you manage. No red tape. No boardroom politics. I blinked. You're serious? Dead serious. You're a star, Naomi. They were idiots to let you go. I left the office with my first real smile in days, and a signed letter of intent to join Jennings plus Rose as a senior partner pending client migration. Now I just needed to turn the whispers into movement. Over the next 2 weeks, I did exactly that. I didn't reach out to clients directly, at least not for a pitch. Instead, I made myself visible. I updated my LinkedIn with a cryptic status: when one door closes, sometimes you build your own damn building. I posted a throwback photo of me leading a pitch meeting with the caption, "Grateful for everything I learned, ready for what's next." The comments poured in. Old coworkers, clients, industry friends, all asking what I was up to and where I was going next. And then the emails started. Quiet ones. From brand managers, CMOs, startup founders, people I'd worked with or helped in some way over the years. They weren't reaching out to Kilburn. They were reaching out to me. It wasn't long before I heard that Ryan had bungled the second round of creative for Renovo. Used stock images that violated their brand standards. Tried to impress them with buzzwords instead of results. Gwen emailed me the same day, "Let's talk. Renovo is ready to follow you." That was the first domino. Within days, Auburn Grove paused their campaign to reevaluate strategy. Then Everkind Health looped me into a private call to pick my brain, and ended up canceling their renewal with Kilburn the following week. I wasn't stealing. I was simply standing where my former employer had left a vacuum, and letting the clients fill in the blanks. Martin sent me a cease and desist letter the third week. I framed it. It meant he was panicking. Good. Because I wasn't done yet. I didn't need to break the rules, I just needed to be better. And I always had been. By the end of the third week, 3 of Kilburn's highest performing clients had either cut ties or paused work with them entirely. And they were all talking to me. Quietly. Respectfully. Strategically. I never initiated a direct poach. That would have been amateur hour. Instead, I positioned myself as the logical next step for clients who felt abandoned, misrepresented, or condescended to. Ryan Keller had done more damage in 3 weeks than I ever could have planned in 3 years. Word was, he had no idea how to handle difficult feedback and folded in client meetings like a cheap brochure. One CMO reportedly called him a TED Talk without the brains. I didn't say a word. I didn't have to. By the 4th week, Carla and I were negotiating full retainer contracts with Renovo Apparel, Auburn Grove Beverages, and Everkind Health, each one bringing 6 figures annually to Jennings plus Rose. I had my own team forming under me now, 2 junior strategists and a designer I handpicked from my old Kilburn network. The cherry on top? We'd just signed a deal with Blythe Tech, a major wearable tech brand I had once pitched at Kilburn, and been ignored for. They'd found me through my LinkedIn post, then followed my recent work with Renovo. Now they were mine. Kilburn was bleeding. And it was about to hemorrhage. It was around this time that my inbox pinged with a familiar name, Jared Bell. He was one of Kilburn's board members, senior, sharp, and until recently, totally indifferent to day-to-day operations. His email was short. Subject, coffee? Naomi, I'd like to speak with you privately. No agenda. No expectations. Just coffee. Let me know when you're free. Jared, I considered ignoring it. But curiosity got the better of me. We met at a sleek cafe downtown that served cortados in handmade ceramic cups and smelled like burnt citrus and ambition. Jared was already seated when I arrived, impeccably dressed as always. He stood to shake my hand. Naomi. Thanks for agreeing. I was curious, I admitted, sitting down. What's this about? Jared leaned back, steepling his fingers. Let me get straight to it. You're killing Kilburn. I sipped my coffee. I'm just doing good work. Clients follow results. That's exactly what I told Martin. He disagrees. He thinks you're running some vendetta. I smiled politely. Sounds like projection. Jared chuckled dryly. He's flailing. The board's nervous. And frankly, we made a mistake. Firing you was short-sighted. Promoting his nephew was idiotic. We're hemorrhaging revenue, Naomi. I leaned in slightly. And what does that have to do with me? I want to float an idea, Jared said carefully. What if we bring you back? Not to your old role, something higher. Partner level. Creative director. Autonomy. Salary plus equity. Your own team. I stared at him for a long moment. Then I laughed, not cruelly, but with genuine disbelief. You think I'd come back? I think it would be good for both of us, Jared said. You're a known quantity. Trusted. And Martin, he won't be in charge forever. I shook my head slowly. Jared, I don't need Kilburn anymore. I built something better. Cleaner. With people I trust. His smile faded. Revenge is satisfying, but it's not always sustainable. I'm not seeking revenge, I said, finishing my drink. I'm seeking excellence. It just so happens that watching Martin Keller's kingdom collapse is a bonus. I stood up, placed a $5 bill on the table, and turned to leave. Then paused. Oh, and Jared? He looked up. Tell Martin next time he fires someone, he should make sure they weren't the engine keeping the train running. The next day, I got an email from Gwen at Renovo, subject, FYI, Kilburn drama, just thought you'd want to see this. Ryan apparently pitched a new slogan for our Q4 campaign without running it by anyone. It was less plastic, more passion. He thought it sounded sexy. We've formally terminated our contract. She included a screenshot of the termination letter. I laughed so hard I nearly cried. Later that evening, Carla walked into my office with 2 glasses of champagne. You did it, she said, handing me one. We just hit 7 new contracts this month. That's a record. We did it, I said, tapping her glass. And we're just getting started. But the best moment came 2 weeks later. I got a notification that Admark Weekly, the biggest trade publication in our industry, had released their annual list of top 10 power moves in marketing. I opened the article. Number 4, Naomi Perez leaves Kilburn and Dean to revitalize Jennings plus Rose, bringing multi-million-dollar accounts with her in less than a month. Number 7? Kilburn and Dean loses major accounts, internal reshuffling rumored. Nepotism questioned. No revenge speech. No grand takedown. Just public proof that they bet against the wrong woman. And I had never been more powerful. I didn't plan for it to be public. I wanted to rise quietly, let the quality of my work do the talking, let the results speak louder than any rant or blog post ever could. But sometimes, when a storm has been brewing long enough, the thunder cracks whether you want it to or not. And this time, it cracked wide open. It started with a LinkedIn post, not from me, but from Amanda Voss, the head of marketing at Everkind Health. She was a polished, tactical executive known for never rocking the boat. But apparently, even she had reached her limit. We value transparency, strategic thinking, and partnership. That's why we've ended our relationship with Kilburn and Dean and moved our marketing portfolio to Jennings plus Rose. Sometimes, you don't realize how badly you were being managed until someone treats your brand like it matters again. Thank you, Naomi Perez, for bringing your brilliance to our mission. It wasn't a personal attack. It wasn't even rude. But it lit a fire across the industry that couldn't be ignored. Within 2 hours, the post had over 800 likes. A day later, Marketing Pulse Daily had picked it up in a piece titled, When Clients Walk, Why Big Brands Are Leaving Big Agencies for Boutique Talent. Guess who they featured as the boutique talent? Me. And just like that, I was no longer the woman who got fired to make room for the boss's nephew. I was the woman who redefined the rules after being discarded. Kilburn and Dean scrambled. That same week, 3 more clients announced they were moving to other agencies, 2 of them to Jennings plus Rose. One publicly blamed unacceptable levels of inexperience in Kilburn's campaign leadership. Another mentioned bait-and-switch management and a broken promise of strategic continuity. It was devastatingly clear what they meant, Ryan. Meanwhile, I kept working. No gloating, no commentary. Just forward momentum. But then I got a message from Leah, one of the junior account execs still at Kilburn. She and I had always gotten along well. I had mentored her during her first year. Naomi, I hope you don't mind me reaching out. Things here are bad. There's a mandatory staff meeting tomorrow morning. Martin's been in a tailspin ever since Jared started sitting in on all his calls. I think something big is about to happen. Thought you'd want to know. I didn't reply. But I watched. That Friday morning, I woke up to 3 different messages and 1 news alert. Martin Keller had resigned. Effective immediately. Ryan? Placed on performance review, though I knew what that really meant. His days were numbered. In the official statement, Kilburn and Dean cited leadership restructuring to better serve the evolving needs of our clients. Classic corporate spin. But the real story was leaking through internal sources all over industry forums and Slack groups. Turns out Jared had quietly been auditing client satisfaction reports. The numbers didn't lie. Neither did the exit surveys. And mine? Mine was the report they read aloud at the final board meeting. According to Leah, Jared had printed out my original Q4 growth projection, the one I created before getting canned, and held it up during the meeting. This was our strategy. We trashed it. Then lost 40% of our top-tier clients in under 8 weeks. Does anyone want to defend that decision now? Silence. They couldn't argue with the results. My results. Later that night, I was locking up the Jennings plus Rose office when Carla caught up to me, breathless with her phone in hand. Look at this, she said, holding the screen toward me. Ryan had updated his LinkedIn headline. Former director at Kilburn and Dean. Currently exploring new opportunities. I handed her back the phone and raised an eyebrow. You think he gets it now? She asked. No, I said. But that's the thing about people like Ryan. They never realize they're not the main character until the credits roll. We both laughed, and for a moment, I let myself relax. For the first time in years, I wasn't chasing validation. I had it. Earned. Delivered. Proven. I was no longer someone's employee. I was a name. Weeks passed. Jennings plus Rose expanded. We opened a satellite office in Seattle and signed our first international client. I was invited to speak on 2 panels, and Adage reached out for a profile. Then one afternoon, my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. Naomi. It's Martin. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I owe you an apology. If you're open to it, I'd like to meet. I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. Martin, I appreciate the message. But there's no need for a meeting. I've moved on. You should too. And that was the end of it. They say success is the best revenge. I disagree. Clarity is. Knowing exactly who you are when someone tries to strip it away, and becoming even more powerful in the process. Martin thought he was replacing me with someone more aligned with his vision. He just never saw the real vision walking out the door that day. And me? I didn't just survive. I rebuilt. And this time I was unstoppable.